The heart monitor was the only sound in the room, a rhythmic testament to the miracle that had just occurred. But 10 minutes after Sophia gave birth to the heir of the Sterling Empire, the door didn't open for a celebration. It opened for an execution. There were no roses, no tears of joy, just a husband checking his Rolex and a lawyer holding a thick manila envelope. They thought they were discarding a penniless orphan who had served her purpose. They had no idea they were declaring war on the hidden daughter of the most dangerous billionaire on the planet. And by the time they realized their mistake, it would be too late to run. The anesthesia was just wearing off, leaving Sophia Bennett with a dull, throbbing ache in her lower abdomen and a dry, cottony taste in her mouth. She blinked against the harsh, fluorescent lights of the VIP suite at Lenox Hill Hospital. It was a room that cost more per night than most people earned in a year. Floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the gray, rainy skyline of Manhattan, mahogany paneling, and 800 thread-count sheets. She shifted slightly, wincing as the stitches from her emergency C-section pulled tight. Next to her, in a clear, lucite bassinet, lay the reason for the pain. A sleeping boy, barely an hour old. He was perfect. He had the sterling nose, but he had her chin. "Liam?" she croaked, her voice raspy. She expected her husband to be by the window, perhaps on the phone with his board of directors, announcing the arrival of the next generation. Liam Sterling, the CEO of Sterling Maritime, was a man who lived for legacy. The bathroom door opened. Liam stepped out. He was impeccably dressed in a charcoal Tom Ford suit, his tie knotted with a surgical precision that matched the cold look in his steel-gray eyes. He didn't look like a new father. He looked like a man about to close a hostile takeover. "You're awake," he said flatly. He didn't move toward the bed. He didn't look at the baby. "He's beautiful, Liam," Sophia whispered, reaching a hand out. "Come see him. He looks just like your father." Liam adjusted his cufflinks. "I've seen him, Sophia. He's healthy. That's what matters." The air in the room shifted. It grew heavy, suffocating. Sophia dropped her hand. She had known their marriage wasn't a fairy tale romance. She was the quiet scholarship student he had met at a gala, the safe choice, compared to the socialites who only wanted his money. But this coldness was new. "Is something wrong?" Panic spiked in her chest. "Is it the company?" "The company is fine," Liam said, checking his Patek Philippe watch. "Actually, the company is about to be much better." He stepped aside, and for the first time, Sophia noticed another man in the room. He had been standing in the shadows near the door, blending into the expensive woodwork. It was Arthur Grimes, the Sterling family's personal attorney, a man known in New York legal circles as the Grim Reaper. "Mr. Grimes?" Sophia pulled the sheet up higher, suddenly feeling exposed and vulnerable. "What are you doing here?" Grimes walked to the foot of the bed. He placed a thick document on the rolling tray table and slid it over her legs until it rested on her chest. "Mrs. Sterling," Grimes said, his voice devoid of emotion. "Or rather, Miss Bennett, these are for you." Sophia looked down. The bold letters at the top of the page swam before her eyes. "Petition for dissolution of marriage." "What is this?" She laughed nervously, a fractured sound. "Liam, is this a joke? I just had our son." "It's not a joke, Sophia," Liam said, finally walking over to stand next to the lawyer. "It's executed. According to the prenuptial agreement you signed, in the event of a divorce produced after the birth of a male heir, you are entitled to a lump sum payment of $50,000 and an economy ticket to a destination of your choice within the continental United States." "Divorce?" Sophia tried to sit up, but the pain forced her back down. "Why? What did I do?" "You didn't do anything," Liam sighed, looking bored. "That's the point. You were a placeholder, Sophia. My mother never approved of you. You have no lineage, no connections, no capital. You were suitable for breeding a legitimate heir, but you are not suitable to be the matriarch of the Sterling family." "I'm your wife!" Sophia screamed, the heart monitor beginning to beat faster. "I love you, and I love Jessica," Liam said calmly. The name hit her harder than the surgery. Jessica Blair. The daughter of a senator's, a stunning, blonde socialite who had been Liam's best friend since childhood. Jessica is waiting downstairs, Liam continued. She's going to be a wonderful mother to William. William? Sophia gasped. His name is Noah. We agreed on Noah. His name is William Sterling IV, Liam corrected her, sharply. And he will be raised by a woman who knows how to navigate our world, not a charity case who thinks Olive Garden is fine dining. You can't take him, Sophia sobbed, reaching for the bassinet. He needs me. I'm breastfeeding. Arthur Grimes interjected smoothly. We have the best wet nurses money can buy on standby. As for custody, your prenup is ironclad. You signed away rights to any children born of the union in exchange for your maintenance during the marriage. You are unfit, Miss Bennet. You have no job, no home, and as of 10 minutes ago, no access to the Sterling bank accounts. Liam reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a pen. Sign the acknowledgement of receipt, Sophia. Don't make this ugly. If you fight this, Grimes will bury you in legal fees until you're living in a cardboard box. Sophia looked at the man she had spent the last 3 years with. She looked at the sleeping baby who would never know her warmth. The tears stopped. A strange, icy clarity washed over her. She had spent 3 years playing the role of the grateful, poor wife. She had hidden her truth because she wanted to be loved for herself, not her inheritance. She wanted to know if Liam was different from the gold diggers who used to chase her father. Now she had her answer. Give me the pen, Sophia whispered. Liam smirked, handing it to her. Smart girl. Take the 50 grand, Sophia. Start a bakery or something. She signed her name, not Sophia Sterling. She signed Sophia V. The V was a scrawl, unrecognizable to them, but it was the first crack in the dam. Get out, she said. We're taking William, Liam said, moving to the bassinet. Take him, Sophia said, her voice trembling but her eyes dry. But remember this moment, Liam. Remember the moment you decided I was nothing. Liam laughed, lifting the baby carrier. I won't remember this at all, Sophia. Goodbye. They walked out. The silence rushed back in, louder than before. Sophia Bennet lay alone in the $1 million room, clutching a check for $50,000, while her heart was carried away down the hallway. She waited exactly 2 minutes. Then, she reached for the bedside phone. She didn't call the police. She didn't call a friend. She dialed a number she hadn't used in 4 years. It was an international number, Geneva, Switzerland. It rang once. Vanderhoven residence, a crisp voice answered. Alfred, Sophia said, her voice turning into steel. It's Sophia. Tell Daddy I'm coming home. And tell him to prepare the war room. The rain in New York City was relentless. It wasn't the romantic drizzle seen in movies. It was a cold, gray sheet of water that smelled of exhaust and wet pavement. 3 days had passed since the hospital. The Sterlings had been efficient. By the time Sophia was discharged, pushed out in a wheelchair by a sympathetic but helpless nurse, her meager belongings had been dumped at the hospital reception in 2 trash bags. She stood on the sidewalk of 77th Street, clutching her abdomen. The pain meds were wearing off, and she hadn't filled the prescription because her insurance had been canceled the moment the divorce papers were filed. A black town car idled at the curb. For a second, she thought Liam had come back, that he had a change of heart. The window rolled down. It wasn't Liam. It was Catherine Sterling, her mother-in-law. The woman wore a Chanel tweed suit and a string of pearls worth more than the house Sophia grew up in. Or rather, the house she pretended to grow up in. You're cluttering the sidewalk, dear, Catherine said, wrinkling her nose as if she smelled something foul. Catherine, Sophia said, straightening her back, despite the agony. Where is my son? William is in the nursery, listening to Mozart. Catherine smiled cruelly. Jessica is with him. She's remarkably natural with him. It's such a relief to have a woman of breeding in the house, finally. Sophia gripped one of the trash bags tighter. You won't get away with this. We already have, Catherine laughed. She signaled the driver. Oh, and Sophia? I canceled the check. Sophia froze. What? The 50,000. Catherine examined her manicured nails. We found a loophole. You failed to vacate the marital residence within 24 hours of the filing. Technically, since your things were still there while you were in the hospital, you violated the clause. You get nothing. Consider it a bill for the 3 years you leached off my son. The window rolled up. The car splashed dirty puddle water onto Sophia's cheap sweatpants as it sped away toward Park Avenue. Sophia stood there, shivering. She had no money, no phone service. Liam had cut the plan. No coat, just the clothes on her back, and 2 bags of old sweaters. Passers-by gave her a wide berth, assuming she was just another homeless tragedy in the city. She needed to get to a secure line. She limped 2 blocks to a hotel she knew well, the Pierre. It was one of the most exclusive hotels in the city. As she dragged her trash bags through the gilded revolving doors, the doorman moved to intercept her immediately. "Miss, you can't be in here," he said firmly, blocking her path. "The shelter is on 42nd. I need to use the concierge phone," Sophia said, her teeth chattering. "Guests only," the doorman said, grabbing her arm. "Please leave before I call the police." "Look at me," Sophia said, lifting her chin. She pushed her wet hair back from her face. "Look at my eyes, Henry." The doorman paused. He squinted. He had worked at the Pierre for 20 years. He knew the faces of the global elite better than he knew his own family. I don't know you, miss." "You knew my father," she whispered. "He used to tip you $100 just for opening the umbrella. He stayed in the Tata Suite every September for the UN Assembly. Hendrik van der Hoven." The color drained from Henry's face. The name van der Hoven wasn't just wealthy. It was royalty without a crown. Hendrik van der Hoven owned shipping lines, diamond mines, and half the real estate in Zurich. He was a ghost, a man who moved mountains without speaking. "Miss Sophia?" Henry gasped. "But the rumors. You disappeared 4 years ago. Everyone said you were kidnapped or—" "I fell in love, Henry," she said bitterly. "And now I've fallen out of it. I need the phone, and I need a room. The penthouse." "Of course," Henry scrambled, taking the trash bags from her hands with as much reverence as if they were Louis Vuitton trunks. "Right away, Miss van der Hoven." 5 minutes later, Sophia was sitting in a velvet armchair in the lobby, a warm blanket draped over her shoulders. The manager, sweating profusely, handed her a telephone. She dialed. "Papa," she said, when the line clicked open. On the other end, there was a silence that lasted a heartbeat, followed by a sound Sophia had never heard before her father, the Iron Lion of Zurich, choking back a sob. "Sophia? My little Fia? They took him. Papa," she broke down, the facade crumbling in the safety of her father's voice. "They took my baby. They think I'm a nobody. They left me on the street." The voice on the other end changed instantly. The sorrow evaporated, replaced by a cold, terrifying rage. "Who?" Hendrik asked. One word. A death sentence. "The Sterlings." "Liam Sterling." "Sterling," Hendrik tasted the name. "Small-time maritime transport, debt-ridden, desperate." "They have my son," Sophia cried. "Not for long," Hendrik promised. "Listen to me, Sophia. I am sending the jet. It is wheels up in 5 minutes. You are going to come home to Zurich. You will heal. You will recover. And then?" "And then," Hendrik said darkly, "we are going to buy New York, and we are going to evict them from the face of the earth." Sophia looked out the window of the Pierre, toward the direction of the Sterling mansion. "Papa," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper, "I don't just want my son back. I want to destroy them. I want them to lose everything. Their name, their money, their pride. Then you shall have it," Hendrik replied. "Wipe your face, Sophia. The next time they see you, you will not be Sophia Bennett, the poor wife. You will be Sophia van der Hoven, the CEO of VDH Global. Let's see how Liam Sterling likes negotiating with the woman who owns his debt." As she hung up the phone, Sophia caught her reflection in the glass. She looked haggard, pale, and broken. But in her eyes, something new was burning. It wasn't love. It wasn't hope. It was pure, unadulterated vengeance. The Gulfstream G650ER touched down on the private tarmac in Zurich, under the cover of darkness. The transition from the grime of a New York sidewalk to the hermetically sealed luxury of the Van der Hoeven private jet had been jarring, a whiplash of reality that left Sophia feeling as though she were floating between two worlds. She didn't walk off the plane, she was carried. Her body, pushed beyond its limits by childbirth, surgery, and emotional trauma, had finally collapsed. For the next 3 weeks, the world was a blur of white linen, hushed voices, and the scent of alpine air. She wasn't in a hospital, but in the master wing of the Villa Lacus, her father's estate overlooking Lake Zurich. A team of private doctors and nurses, signed to strict non-disclosure agreements, attended to her 24 hours a day. When the fog finally lifted, Sophia found herself sitting in a conservatory filled with rare orchids. The morning sun hit the snow-capped mountains in the distance, painting everything in shades of gold and violent white. "You look like your mother today." Sophia turned. Hendrik van der Hoeven stood in the doorway. He was a giant of a man, even in his 60s, with a mane of silver hair and eyes that could freeze a boardroom. But now, those eyes were soft. He walked over and poured tea from a silver service, his hands trembling slightly, a rare sign of the rage he was suppressing. "I feel like a ghost, Papa," Sophia whispered, looking down at her hands. They were manicured now, the rough skin from doing Liam's laundry smoothed away by expensive creams. I close my eyes, and I hear William crying. I reach for him, but he's not there. Hendrik set the cup down with a sharp clink. "You will not be a ghost, Sophia. A ghost haunts a house. You are going to burn it down." He signaled to the corner of the room. Alfred, the family's longtime major domo and confidant, stepped forward, holding a tablet. "We have completed the deep dive audit of Sterling Maritime," Alfred said, his voice crisp. "It is worse than we thought." Sophia straightened up, wincing slightly as her incision pulled. "How bad?" "Liam Sterling is a gambler," Hendrik said, sitting opposite her. "He presents himself as a prudent captain of industry, but he has leveraged the company to its hilt. He borrowed heavily to modernize his fleet, betting on a trade deal with South America that never materialized. He is currently floating on loans from 3 major banks." "And the Blair connection?" Sophia asked, her mind sharpening. "Jessica's family, the senators." Alfred tapped the screen. "Smoke and mirrors, Miss Sophia. The Blair family has political influence, yes, but their liquidity is low. They are land-rich and cash-poor. Liam married Jessica because he thinks her father can push legislation that favors his shipping routes. Jessica married Liam because she thinks the Sterling fortune can fund her lifestyle. 2 drowning people clutching each other, hoping the other is a life raft." A cold smile touched Sophia's lips. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a hunter spotting a limp. "He needs cash. Fast." "Correct," Hendrik nodded. "In 6 months, a balloon payment on his primary loan is due. $80 million. If he misses it, the banks seize the fleet. He will be destitute." "He will try to find an investor," Sophia said, her eyes narrowing. "He'll host the annual maritime gala. It's his hunting ground." "Precisely," Hendrik leaned forward. "And we are going to be the prey he thinks he has caught." For the next 4 months, the weeping woman in the hospital bed ceased to exist. In her place, a weapon was forged. Sophia didn't just recover, she evolved. Her days were regimented with military precision. Mornings were for physical rehabilitation, with a trainer who had worked with Olympic athletes. She rebuilt her core, her strength, and her stamina. The soft, accommodating posture she had adopted to make Liam feel bigger was replaced by a spine of steel. Afternoons were for the war room. Hendrik didn't coddle her, he grilled her. They sat for hours analyzing market trends, hostile takeover strategies, and the psychology of negotiation. Sophia had an MBA from Wharton, a degree she had hidden from Liam because he claimed educated women were intimidating, and now she dusted off that knowledge and sharpened it into a razor. Evenings were for the transformation of her image. A team of stylists from Paris and Milan flew in. The mousse-down brown hair she wore in a messy bun for Liam was cut into a sharp, angular bob and dyed a rich, dark espresso. The department store clothes were replaced by bespoke suits from Armani and structural gowns from McQueen. You must be unrecognizable, Hendrik told her one evening as she tried on a pair of diamond earrings that cost more than the Sterling mansion. Liam sees what he wants to see. He saw a mouse. Show him a lioness, and he won't know it's you until your jaws are around his throat. I don't just want to bankrupt him, Papa, Sophia said, looking at her reflection. The woman in the mirror was terrifyingly beautiful. I want my son. The custody agreement is based on my lack of resources. If I have more resources than God, the judge will flip. We will get William, Hendrik promised. But first, we must break the man holding him. One evening, 6 months after her departure, Alfred entered the library, where Sophia was studying the schematics of Sterling's flagship vessel. The invitation has arrived, Alfred said, placing a heavy, cream-colored envelope on the desk. Sophia opened it. Mr. Liam Sterling and Mrs. Jessica Sterling cordially invite you to the 50th Annual Maritime Charity Gala. It was addressed to Miss V. Hoven, CEO of Phoenix Capital, a shell company Hendrik had set up just for this purpose. Are you ready? Hendrik asked from the doorway. Sophia picked up a photo of her son she had managed to snag from a social media post. Jessica had made a photo of William being held by a nanny while Jessica drank champagne in the background. Sophia set the photo down. Fuel the jet, Alfred. We're going to New York. New York City had not changed, but the atmosphere inside the Sterling penthouse on Park Avenue had curdled. 6 months had passed since Liam had discarded Sophia, and the happily ever after he had envisioned with Jessica Blair was rapidly disintegrating into a domestic nightmare. Can you get him to stop crying? Liam shouted, slamming his hand on the dining table. I am trying to read the quarterly report. In the living room, baby William was screaming. Jessica was on the sofa, scrolling through Instagram, a glass of Chardonnay in her hand. A frazzled nanny was trying to rock the baby. He's teething, Liam, Jessica snapped, not looking up. What do you want me to do? I'm not a milk machine. That's what we pay her for. She gestured dismissively at the nanny. Liam rubbed his temples. He looked older. The stress of the looming debt payment was eating him alive. The synergy he expected from the Blair family hadn't happened. Jessica's father, the senator, was currently embroiled in an ethics scandal and had gone radio silent. We need this gala to work, Jess, Liam said, his voice tight. I need to secure $100 million in fresh capital. There's a rumor that a Swiss firm, Phoenix Capital, is looking to expand into American logistics. Their CEO is coming tonight. I'll charm them, Jessica said breezily, standing up to check her reflection in the mirror. I always do. What's the CEO's name? Some European woman, V. Hoven. Probably some dowdy heiress. Just try not to drink too much tonight, all right? Jessica glared at him. Don't tell me what to do, Liam. If it wasn't for my family name, you'd be driving a tugboat. And if it wasn't for my money, you'd be wearing last season's Gucci, Liam shot back. The air was toxic. Liam looked at his son, screaming in the nanny's arms. For a split second, a memory flashed in his mind. Sophia, sitting in the rocking chair, in their old, small apartment, humming softly, the baby asleep on her chest. The silence, the peace. He shook his head, banishing the thought. Sophia was gone. A failed experiment. He was a Sterling. He didn't look back. The Maritime Gala was held at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, inside the Temple of Dender. It was a display of excessive wealth. Waiters in white tuxedos circulated with trays of caviar and vintage champagne. The air smelled of expensive perfume and desperation. Liam Sterling stood at the entrance, a frozen smile on his face, greeting the sharks of Wall Street. Jessica stood beside him, draped in a gold sequined gown that was slightly too tight, her smile brittle. Where is this Phoenix Capital woman? Liam muttered to Arthur Grimes, who was lurking behind him like a bad omen. She's late, Grimes checked his watch. Power move. She better show, Liam hissed. The rumors say Phoenix has access to unlimited liquidity. If I can get her to sign a letter of intent tonight, the banks back off. Suddenly, the hum of conversation in the massive hall died down. It started near the entrance and rippled outward, a wave of silence silencing the room. Heads turned, the crowd parted. Walking through the great stone archway was a vision. She wore a gown of liquid, midnight blue velvet, strapless, with a slit that ran up to her thigh. Around her neck sat a choker of sapphires and diamonds that caught the overhead lights and fractured them into 1,000 stars. Her hair was a sleek, dark helmet. Her lips painted a blood red. She didn't walk, she glided. She was flanked by two men. One was an older, distinguished gentleman with a cane Hendrik, though few recognized him in this context, and the other was a younger, sharp-jawed man carrying a briefcase. "Who is that?" Jessica whispered, jealousy instant and potent. "That must be her," Liam said, straightening his tie. He felt a strange shiver run down his spine, a primal warning he couldn't decipher. "Miss Hoven." Liam stepped forward, putting on his best charming smile, the smile that had won over boardrooms and seduced Sophia 3 years ago. "Miss Hoven," Liam extended his hand, blocking her path. "I'm Liam Sterling. Welcome to the gala. It is an honor to have Phoenix Capital here." The woman stopped. She looked at his hand, then up at his face. Her eyes were dark, framed by smoky makeup. They were cold, like the surface of a frozen lake. She didn't shake his hand. "Mr. Sterling." Her voice was low, smooth, and possessed an accent that was vaguely European, indistinguishable. "I've heard so much about your operation. All good things, I hope?" Liam laughed nervously, dropping his hand. "Interesting things," she corrected. She turned her gaze to Jessica, and this must be the new Mrs. Sterling. Jessica bristled at the tone. "I am Jessica Sterling, and you are?" "I am the woman who is going to decide if you keep this house or live in the street," the woman said. It was said with a smile, so the surrounding guests thought it was a joke. They laughed. Liam laughed too, though he felt sweat prickle his hairline. "A sharp wit. I love it. Please, come to our table. We have the prime spot near the temple." "We prefer to circulate," the woman said dismissively. "But find me in an hour, Liam. We have business to discuss. I understand you have a liquidity issue." Liam froze. Mere rumors. Our cash flow is robust." "Of course it is," she smirked. She leaned in close, and for a second, the scent of her perfume hit him. It wasn't the cheap vanilla spray Sophia used to wear. It was oud and jasmine, heavy and exotic. Yet, underneath it, there was something hauntingly familiar. "1 hour," she commanded. "Don't keep me waiting." She walked past him, her entourage trailing in her wake. "She's arrogant," Jessica spat as soon as she was out of earshot. "I don't like her." "I don't care if you like her," Liam hissed. "Did you see those diamonds? That woman is walking money. We need her." Across the room, Sophia took a glass of champagne from a waiter. Her hand was steady. "He didn't recognize you," Hendrik murmured, standing beside her. "He never really looked at me when we were married," Sophia replied, taking a sip. "He only saw a function, a housekeeper, a broodmare." She looked across the room to where Liam was frantically whispering to his lawyer. "Now," Sophia said, her eyes flashing, "he is going to see the executioner." "The bait is set," Hendrik noted. "Grimes is already making calls, checking the legitimacy of Phoenix Capital." "Let him check," Sophia said. "The shell companies are buried under 5 layers of Swiss bureaucracy. By the time he finds the bottom, I'll own the building he's standing in." She scanned the room, not for investors, but for something else. She spotted a nanny in the corner, near the exit, rocking a stroller. The Sterlings had brought William for a photo op to show off the happy family. Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs. She moved through the crowd, ignoring the billionaires, trying to catch her eye. She approached the nanny. The nanny looked tired and bored. "He's a beautiful boy," Sophia said softly, her accent slipping slightly. The nanny looked up, startled by the glamorous woman addressing her. "Oh, thank you, ma'am. He's a handful tonight." "May I?" Sophia asked, not waiting for an answer. She reached into the stroller and touched the baby's soft cheek. William stirred, his eyes opened. They were gray, like Liam's, but his expression, that curious, quiet gaze, was all hers. He looked at her. He didn't cry. He reached a tiny, chubby hand toward her diamond necklace. "Hello, my love," she mouthed, no sound coming out. "Mommy is here." "Ma'am, I'm not supposed to let strangers touch him," the nanny said nervously. "I'm not a stranger," Sophia said, her voice turning hard again. "I'm a potential investor in his future." She pulled her hand away as she saw Liam approaching through the crowd, looking desperate. "Showtime," she whispered. Liam arrived, breathless. "Miss Hoven, I couldn't wait the hour. We really must talk. There is a private room upstairs." Sophia turned to face him, the mask of the predator slipping firmly back into place. "Lead the way, Mr. Sterling. Let's talk about the price of your soul." The private meeting room, on the upper level of the museum, was silent, save for the scratching of a fountain pen on heavy bond paper. The air was thick with the scent of old money and impending ruin, though only one side of the table knew it. Liam Sterling sat opposite Sophia, sweating through his custom shirt. His lawyer, Arthur Grimes, sat beside him, reading the contract Sophia had slid across the mahogany table. Grimes looked like a man who had swallowed a lemon. "Mr. Sterling," Sophia said, leaning back in her leather chair. She swirled a glass of sparkling water, watching him over the rim. "You seem tense. Is the term sheet not to your liking?" "It's aggressive," Liam managed, forcing a chuckle. "You're asking for a controlling interest in the Sterling fleet as collateral for the loan. That's standard. But this, Clause 14B?" Grimes tapped the paper frantically. "Miss Hoven, this clause stipulates that in the event of a default or a breach of character, Phoenix Capital has the right to seize not just the business assets, but all personal assets of the guarantor. That includes Mr. Sterling's real estate, his private accounts, and the trust fund of his heir." "It's a character clause," Sophia said smoothly. "My board is very conservative, Mr. Grimes. We don't invest in companies run by men who make poor life choices. We need to know you are fully committed. If you don't plan on defaulting, your personal assets are safe. Unless," she paused, her eyes locking onto Liam's. "Unless you don't trust your own leadership?" Liam bristled. The accusation stung his ego, exactly as she intended. "I am perfectly confident in my leadership. Sterling Maritime is poised for a massive rebound." "Then sign," Sophia said, her voice dropping an octave. "I have a jet waiting at Teterboro. I can take my $100 million to Singapore tonight. There is a shipping magnate there who is begging for a meeting." She made a show of checking her diamond-encrusted watch. She began to reach for the papers to pull them back. "No, wait!" Liam slammed his hand down on the document. He looked at Grimes. "Arthur, we need this money. The bank loan is due in 48 hours. If we don't pay it, we lose everything anyway." "Liam, this is suicide if you slip up even an inch," Grimes hissed. "This woman, I can't find any history on her prior to 6 months ago. She's a ghost. You are signing a deal with a stranger." "I'm signing a deal with a savior," Liam snapped. He grabbed the pen. Just then, the heavy oak doors banged open. Jessica Sterling stumbled in, a half-empty champagne flute in her hand. Her face was flushed, her lipstick slightly smeared. "So, this is where the party is?" she slurred, swaying in her heels. She glared at Sophia. "You, the vampire lady. Jessica, get out." Liam stood up, mortified. "We are in a meeting. I'm your wife," Jessica shouted, staggering toward the table. "I have a right to know who you're selling our future to." She turned to Sophia, leaning over the table, the smell of alcohol wafting across the room. "You think you're better than me? With your fake nose and your rented jewelry?" Sophia didn't flinch. She didn't even blink. She slowly looked Jessica up and down, an expression of clinical distaste on her face. "Mr. Sterling," Sophia said calmly, "is this the breeding you spoke of?" The room went deadly silent. Liam turned pale. He remembered saying that word, breeding. He had used it to describe why he chose Jessica over Sophia. But how could this stranger know that? Liam stammered. "I don't know what you mean." "My mistake," Sophia said, turning her attention back to the papers. "Perhaps I heard it somewhere else. People talk, Liam. They say you traded a diamond for a rhinestone. Jessica gasped, looking ready to lunge across the table. How dare you? Security, Liam barked. 2 guards appeared at the door. Escort my wife to the car, now. You're choosing her over me? Jessica screamed as she was dragged out, kicking and screaming. She's playing you, Liam. Can't you see it? Look at her eyes. She looks at you like she hates you. The doors closed, cutting off her screeching. Liam adjusted his jacket, his face bright red. I apologize. She's under a lot of stress. She seems charming, Sophia said dryly. The pen, Mr. Sterling. Liam looked at the document. He looked at Arthur Grimes, who was shaking his head no. He looked at Sophia, who sat there like an ancient queen, offering him the world. He signed his name with a flourish. Liam Sterling. Done, he exhaled, pushing the papers toward her. When do the funds transfer? Immediately, Sophia signaled to the young man with the briefcase, her associate. He tapped a few keys on a laptop. The funds are in your escrow account, Mr. Sterling, the associate said. Liam slumped back in his chair, a wave of relief washing over him. He had done it. He had saved the company. He had saved his reputation. Thank you, Miss Hoven. Liam smiled, the arrogance returning instantly. You've made a wise investment. I look forward to a long partnership. Oh, it won't be long, Liam, Sophia said, standing up. She picked up the contract, the only copy. Actually, our business is concluded. Excuse me? Liam frowned. We have board meetings. Strategy. I'm a silent partner, Sophia said, walking to the door. She stopped and turned back. The lighting in the room cast half her face in shadow. I'll see you on Monday, Mr. Sterling, at the office. I believe there is a clause about immediate inspection of assets. Sure. Liam waved a hand. Come by any time. Sophia walked out into the cool night air of the museum hallway. Hendrik was waiting by a statue of Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of war. He signed? Hendrik asked. Sophia held up the folder. He signed away his life. He thinks he bought himself time. He bought himself a weekend, Hendrik corrected. I've already triggered the secondary purchase. As of this moment, Phoenix Capital has also bought the debt from his original banks. We don't just own his new loan, Sophia. We own his old ones too. Which means, Sophia said, a terrifying smile spreading across her face, we can call in the full amount. Not in 6 months. Today, technically, Monday morning, Hendrik checked his watch. Let him have his Sunday. Let him think he won. Sophia walked toward the exit, her velvet gown trailing behind her like a pool of blood. He can have Sunday, but Monday belongs to me. Monday morning in Manhattan was gray and rainy, a mirror of the day Sophia had been thrown out of the hospital. But inside the Sterling Maritime Tower, the mood was initially jubilant. Liam Sterling walked into the lobby at 9 a.m., sharp whistling. He greeted the receptionist. He high-fived his VP of sales. He felt invincible. The $100 million was in the bank. The wolves were at bay. He took the private elevator to the 40th floor, the executive suite. As the doors opened, he expected the usual hum of activity. Secretaries on phones, analysts rushing about. Instead, he found silence. The open plan office was full, but no one was working. They were all standing, whispering, looking toward the glass-walled conference room at the end of the hall, his conference room. What is going on? Liam demanded, grabbing his assistant. Sarah, why isn't anyone working? Mr. Sterling? Sarah looked terrified. There are people in there. They arrived an hour ago. Security let them in. They have badges. Who? Liam stormed down the hallway. Who the hell thinks they can walk into my building? He reached the double glass doors and threw them open. Get out of my... The words died in his throat. Sitting at the head of the massive granite table was Miss V. Hoven. She was wearing a white power suit, sharp and immaculate. Behind her stood Hendrik van der Hoven, looking like a mountain in a bespoke suit, and Arthur Grimes. But Arthur wasn't sitting on Liam's side. He was sitting on theirs, looking pale and defeated. Good morning, Liam, Sophia said calmly. She didn't look up from the file she was reading. You're late. What is this? Liam shouted, marching to the other end of the table. "This is a private board meeting. You're an investor, not the CEO. Get out of my chair." "Actually," Arthur Grimes spoke up, his voice trembling. "She is the CEO, Liam." Liam spun around. "Arthur, what are you talking about? I own 51% of the voting stock." "Not anymore," the woman at the head of the table said. She finally looked up. "Read Clause 14B again, Liam. In the event of acquiring majority debt leverage, Phoenix Capital assumes immediate executive control until solvency is proven." She tossed a file onto the table. It slid all the way down to him. "We bought your banknotes this morning, Liam," she said. "You owe us $180 million. Payable immediately. Can you pay it?" You tricked me," Liam gasped. "This is a hostile takeover." "It's a foreclosure," she corrected. "And since you cannot pay, we are activating the personal asset forfeiture clause. Security is currently changing the locks on your penthouse. Your accounts have been frozen." "You can't do this," Liam screamed, slamming his fists on the table. "I am Liam Sterling. Who do you think you are? Some European vulture?" The woman stood up. She slowly reached up and unclasped the heavy diamond choker from her neck, setting it on the table with a heavy thud. Then, she reached for a pack of wet wipes sitting next to her water glass. "What are you doing?" Liam watched, confused. She took a wipe and scrubbed her lips, removing the dark, blood-red lipstick. She wiped her eyebrows, softening the harsh, drawn-on arch. She took a deep breath and let her shoulders drop, shifting her posture from the rigid, regal stance of Miss Hoven to something softer, yet stronger. She looked at him, really looked at him. "Look closer, Liam," she said. Her voice changed. The indistinguishable European accent was gone. In its place was the soft, American voice he had ignored for 3 years. Liam squinted. He stepped closer. He looked at her eyes. Those gray-blue eyes. The room spun. "Sophia?" he whispered. It came out as a question, as if his brain refused to process the information. "Hello, Liam," she said. "No." He backed away, knocking over a chair. "No, that's impossible. Sophia she's broke. She's nobody. I gave her $50,000. And you took it back," she reminded him. "You left me on the sidewalk with 2 trash bags and a C-section scar. You told me I was a placeholder. But how?" Liam looked from her to the giant man standing behind her. "Allow me to introduce myself." Hendrik stepped forward. His voice boomed like thunder. "I am Hendrik van der Hoven, and this is my daughter, Sophia van der Hoven." Liam's knees gave out. He collapsed into the nearest chair. "Van der Hoven? The Swiss shipping magnate? But you said your parents were dead." "I said I was estranged," Sophia corrected. "I wanted to be loved for me, Liam. I wanted to see if you were a good man. I found out you were a monster." "Sophia, please." Liam began to hyperventilate. The reality of the situation was crashing down on him. The debt, the contract. The woman he had discarded was now the owner of his entire existence. "We can fix this. We have a son. Think of William." "I am thinking of him," Sophia said, walking around the table until she stood over him. "That's why I'm here. You see, since you are now unemployed, homeless, and bankrupt, you are in violation of our custody agreement." She pulled a final document from her folder. "Arthur has already prepared the papers," she said. "You are signing full legal and physical custody of William to me. Today." "I won't," Liam wept. "He's my heir." "He is a van der Hoven now," Sophia said coldly. "He will be raised with love, honor, and integrity. Things you cannot teach him. And if I refuse?" Liam looked up, tears streaming down his face. "Then I release the audit of your company to the SEC," Sophia said. "I know about the bribes in Panama, Liam. I know about the falsified safety inspections. You sign the custody papers, and I let you walk away a free man. You refuse, and you go to federal prison for 20 years. Liam looked at the pen. It was the same pen he had used to sign the divorce papers in the hospital. The irony was a physical weight in the room. His hands shook uncontrollably. He looked at Arthur Grimes for help, but the lawyer looked away. "Sign it, Liam," Grimes whispered. "She has you checkmated." Liam signed. A scrawl of defeat. Sophia snatched the paper away the moment the ink touched the page. She handed it to Hendrik, who pocketed it like a precious gem. "Get out," Sophia said. "Sophia." Liam reached for her hand. "I still love you. We can be a family. With this money, we could rule the world." Sophia looked at his hand on her arm with disgust. She didn't pull away. She simply looked at him until he let go. "You don't love me, Liam. You love the reflection of yourself you see in my money. But that mirror is broken." She pointed to the door. "Security," she called out. Two burly guards entered, not Sterling guards, but her own private security. "Escort Mr. Sterling to the exit," Sophia commanded. "He is trespassing." "You can't do this," Liam screamed as they grabbed his arms. "I built this company, and I bought it," Sophia said, turning her back on him. "Goodbye, Liam." They dragged him out. His screams echoed down the hallway, past the staring employees, past the logo on the wall that would be removed by the end of the day. Sophia stood at the window, looking out at the skyline. She was shaking. The adrenaline was fading, leaving her exhausted but light. Hendrik walked up and placed a heavy hand on her shoulder. "It is done." "Not yet," Sophia said, wiping a single tear from her cheek. "I have one more stop to make." "Where?" "The penthouse," Sophia said. "My son is waiting for me." The elevator doors to the Park Avenue penthouse opened with a soft chime. This time, Sophia didn't need to beg for entry. She owned the building. Inside, the living room was a scene of panicked devastation. Jessica was frantically stuffing silver picture frames and jewelry into a Louis Vuitton duffel bag. She looked up, her mascara running, her hair disheveled. "You!" Jessica shrieked, clutching a diamond bracelet. Liam called. "He said you stole everything. He said you're the devil." "I am simply the landlord," Sophia said, stepping over a pile of discarded designer clothes. "And you are trespassing. You have 5 minutes to vacate the premises, Jessica. Anything left behind will be auctioned for charity." "But I have nowhere to go," Jessica sobbed, the reality crashing down. "Liam's accounts are frozen. My father won't take my calls. You can't put a mother on the street." "You aren't a mother," Sophia said, her voice cutting like a whip. "You were a babysitter, and a poor one at that." She gestured to the door. "Security will escort you out. Leave the bracelet. It was bought with company funds." Jessica dropped the bracelet as if it were hot iron. She looked at Sophia one last time, not with hatred, but with terrified awe before fleeing out the door, her heels clicking frantically down the hall. Sophia didn't watch her go. She turned toward the nursery. The room was quiet. The nanny, sensing the shift in power, had packed her things and left. Sophia walked to the crib. William was awake. He was clutching the bars of the crib, looking at the door. When he saw her, his face lit up. He reached out his arms, making a soft, eager sound. Sophia felt the last of the ice around her heart melt. She picked him up, burying her face in his neck, inhaling the scent of baby powder and innocence. He was heavy, solid, and warm. He was hers. "We're home, Noah," she whispered, using the name she had always chosen. No more running, no more hiding. She carried him out to the balcony. The rain had stopped, and the sun was breaking through the clouds over Central Park. Far below, the city moved on, unaware that the Sterling Empire had fallen, and the Van der Hoeven dynasty had risen. Liam Sterling would spend the next decade in court battles, eventually fading into obscurity, a man who had held a diamond and mistook it for glass. Sophia adjusted the blanket around her son. She wasn't just a survivor anymore. She was a mother. She was a queen, and long may she reign. Wow, what a journey! From a heartbroken mother left in a hospital room to the unstoppable CEO who bought the very ground her enemies walked on, Sophia's story is a powerful reminder that you should never underestimate someone based on their current circumstances. She turned her pain into power and her tragedy into a triumph. If this story of ultimate revenge and justice kept you on the edge of your seat, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to share this video with a friend who loves a good drama, and make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our next real-life storytelling adventure. What would you have done in Sophia's shoes? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.